channel. If you are new, I am Ambrosia and I am the Eclectic Herbalist. So in today's video I do want to talk about protection or protective magic. Protection magic is important, especially if you're going to do spell works, but it's just important in general. Protection is like when you get on a bike, you put on your helmet. You may not fall, but just in case, right? So that's what protective magic is. When working with magic or spirits or entities of any sort, you do want to have a protection over yourself, over your objects, over your space, your house, kind of over everything. In my mind, personally, if I'm going to be doing magic inside my house, I want my house to be protected, both inside and outside. I want myself to be protected, and I want whatever tools, crystals, or herbs I'm using to also be on a level of protection, just because that's how I personally work my craft. But I also do not do protection circles. So magic is what you make it, but you do still want to make sure you follow kind of the basic rules, and protective magic is one of those basic rules and guidelines that you kind of need to follow, or you will definitely end up in a pretty bad situation. I personally don't have personal experiences on my end with bad, unprotected situations, but my coworker, who is also a witch or a pagan, she told me about a story when her sister did some magic and she didn't use protection, or she did the spell wrong, and my coworker had to go back and kind of mend it. So protective magic is a number one. Let's get into different types of protective magic. Again, I will go over protection circles, but personally I don't do them because if I don't feel comfortable, or if I don't have my mind completely into it, it just won't turn out right. And so that's why I don't do circles. I did one once and I just felt really awkward, so I just haven't done it again. So first we're going to talk about basic protection, and these are type of protections that almost every practitioner, I know at least, uses. Protection circles are in here, but again, I don't use it, so I will kind of briefly explain. If you would like to know more about protective circles, there are a few YouTubers on here that kind of go in them a little bit more in depth, or you could just Google it, but the Google search should be last. You should always kind of outreach to other practitioners and witches first from their experience. So, with that being said, a protection circle is obviously a circle you will want to be in before or during, while performing any sort of ritual or spell. From my understanding, you do need to have all the elements, so you need to have water, fire, earth, and air, a candle for fire, an incense, I believe, for air, a glass of water, and a cup of dirt. And that will work well. You do also have to put those in the corresponding directions. There we go. So you'll want the elements in their corresponding directions, north, south, east, west, wherever that will be for you. And you will want to ask or request for their assistance in your spell or ritual. And you have to do it in a particular order, go all the way around. Some people say that you should pull the light up from the ground into you and out around you. However it works. After you are done with your ritual or spell, you will then want to reopen your circle and kind of dissipate it, or however. All I know is that you went clockwise to close it. At the end, you will go counterclockwise to open it. And I do believe you thank the elements. You will thank the elements for their assistance as you close it, and then you can walk out. Once it's open, you are then free to go ahead and walk out and clean up. However you do. I do know though that if you are in the middle of the circle and you are doing your ritual, and say you maybe forgot something, you cannot just get up and walk out. You have to open a space in your circle, walk through it, close it, get what you need, come back, open it, close it again, like a door. So it's not like you lay it down and if you forget something, you just hop up and exit your circle and come back free free will. No, you will want to keep your energies in it. You open it, close it when need be. But at the end, you open it fully, thank everyone, everything, and there you go. Again, because I do not practice protection circles, I'm sure that is the very basic baseline explanation. I do know that a lot of people actually do practice the circles, so it is something that you will constantly run into, so it is worth mentioning. But again, I don't personally do it. I have researched it. I have tried it. It didn't seem like it was a me sort of thing. Another form of protection or protective magic is the use of sigils. Now, I do have a video. I will put it up, I think up here. I will put it up here for you guys to view. It's how you go about making sigils and what a sigil is. The one I made in that video was just kind of, I don't like bugs, so keep bugs out, which has been working quite well. We had an ant problem last summer. There's ants outside, but they have not made their way in yet. Anyways, I do have actually quite a few of protection sigils, but I have one that I use most often because I like it better. So, oh, I ripped them out. Oh no, there it is. So I have these two. Focus is trash. So I have these two for protection. They're very extensive and extravagant, and I don't like having to put them anywhere. Hold on. I'm gonna break away from what I'm talking about for a quick second. I watched the reviews on this camera, and the guy said that the autofocus was trash. And yeah, I want to say it's trash, but when you're doing a review, you should explain what kind of trash it is. By trash, I assumed it just took a minute to focus. No, by trash he meant it doesn't have autofocus at all when you were recording. Meaning I have to make it focus in and out of things, and that's not what I wanted. But that would have been nice to know had he explained what exact trash the autofocus was. It is trash because it is not there when you're recording. Anyways, so this is the protective sigil that I do use most often. I have it around my house, I have it in a few different books, and I have it up on my wall above my altar, and it is this one. That one. Protection. And then the one to Hades, but that's not the one we're talking about. So, you will want... So you will want to have at least one protective sigil. A few might be better, but whatever works for you. Now, you can put protective sigils, like I said, I have them in some of my books of shadows. I have them decorated around the house. You can put them on literally anything. Put it in your car, on your window in your room, on the corner of your door. Really, wherever you can write your sigil, where you want to have protection, you can put your sigil. So that's kind of why I have it in multiple places. So, sigil magic goes a little bit more deeper than that, obviously, but sigils is a great form of just basic borderline protection as well. Another form of protection that you can have on your person, carry around with you, are charms, talismans, and amulets, or even those little sachets or pouches of the little spell pouches. So for me, I'm going to take them all off. So for me, I do have a few, I don't know what to call them. It's just crystals and jewelry, really, but I have enchanted them to be of protection. You will notice back here, and then just on my person, I have a lot of black obsidian. Obsidian's really good for absorbing negative energy or blocking negative energy, so I do use it as big protection just for negative energy in general. I held it in my hand, I meditated with it and thought on its purpose, but because I chose for its intent and purpose to be for protection, I imagined for some reason, a yellow light growing out of the crystal and cocooning me. So that's how I envision that as protection. This one is just my Moldavite, so I didn't enchant that. It's just Moldavite. I'll do another video on that because I have words. This one, it's just a pomegranate ring. I enchanted it for beauty, so that doesn't count as protection. And then this one, I got this in my most recent crystal store haul. I go to a shop called The Realms Within. I love them. If you are in the Las Vegas area, go to them. Look at him, he's so cute. They did have silver obsidian, I believe is what he called it. I love it, but I did come home, cleanse it with some smoke, and then enchanted it, and then I will charge it in the moon. I do the whole shebang, but yeah, I wear protection on me, as well as having my sigils in a little note card in my bag. So that way I just feel like a big ball of protection, really. And then lastly, for basic protection on this list, I do have crystals, which I did kind of mention in that last set. Crystals are also a great way of protection if you get crystals that correspond with either protection or the warding or absorption of negative energy. So like I said, I have quite a few, and these are two. This one's new. I got this one at my crystal haul, and then this one's one of my favorites. I meditate with it every day, and I just want more. I love them. They're great. They feel great in my hands. They look great. They're really pretty, even though they're just black. But those, I know black onyx, tourmaline, and a few more. I don't work with crystals too much in my practice. I have a bunch around my house, and I do plan on doing a video to kind of go over the ones that I do have and that I do know about. But the one that I know for sure that's great for protection is obsidian, and that's why I have it everywhere. But from what I've read, really any black crystal will for sure be, double check, obviously research, find out its name, double check its correspondence, but most black crystals are under the category of protection. So again, do a little bit further research. Our next little category we'll do will be spell protection. And actually, protection circles should have gone under here, but I threw them under basic protection because, like I said, a lot of practitioners do use that as their go-to when performing rituals or spells. I've only found one other YouTuber who talks about witchcraft who said she doesn't do protection circles, so it seems to be a very common, more common thing than not, so that's why I switched it to basic. But protection spells and protection jars. So protection spells, you would do basically your whole form of protection prior to your spell or ritual of protection. You're going to protect yourself and then you'll perform it. The protection jar, and there is a lot of debate on protection jars, on if they are useful, if you should use them, if they are useful or just as useful as a regular spell, if they aren't, what have you. I personally have had amazing luck, not just with this one, but I made a money spell jar a year ago. It was one of my first spell jars, and it continues to work because it's a jar, it's in a jar, so it's contained and it's on my altar, so it does continue to work. I will shake it here and there or meditate with it. But these, I feel, from just personal experience, are very highly potent, work well. For me, if you don't think they work, they might not work for you. It just depends on how your intent and how you feel about it. But I have obviously a little jar that I got off Amazon. I will link it below. I filled it with herbs that correspond with protection. So I have eggshell, pink Himalayan salt, rosemary, clove, elderberry, and then I added in rose petal and calendula for happiness and just self-beauty, self-love, things like that. So it not only brings protection, but it makes me feel happy about it, which I do love. I have that also sit on my altar. You'll notice I sealed it with some wax. You can't see it at all. actually. You'll notice I did seal it with some wax. You just put all your ingredients in there. You do want to meditate with your ingredients and your herbs. You want to cleanse the jar. Oh my God. I am living my best life. Alright, so yeah. Meditate with everything. Put your intent into it. Don't just throw everything together. When I put this stuff in it, I will hold it in my hands, meditate with it for like 30 seconds to a minute, give it the intent that I want, and then I'll put it in. And then once I have them all in there and I sealed it, I will then meditate with the whole jar and kind of put the intent of protection into that as well. And then there you go, it's all done. If you don't want it to be a spell that lasts long, say you do a hex jar, which I have done, and I will do a video on that here soon. I do know some people say that you could just dispose of it by breaking and leaving everything into the earth. Personally, I wouldn't want to break any of them regardless. If you are done with it, I feel there is a proper way to dispose of it. Maybe just bury the jar. I don't know. You might want to do further research on it. I don't break my jars and I don't disperse the energy out. My money jar I can't because the honey I used has solidified, so it's really hard, and it's still working, so I don't see a point in breaking it. The hex jar though, that is working still. It's working well, and I just don't think I should break it. Also, I buried it somewhere, so it's deep in the earth. So I don't plan on that breaking. And again, I will get into that. We're on protection today, so back to protection. So on to the next part, we're going to talk about house protections. And house protections are kind of simple and kind of not. It really depends on what protections you research and what protections you decide to do. There is a large number or ways you can protect your house, from putting black salt across your doorstep, white eggshells across your doorstep, brick powder. Literally, there's a number of different types of herbs or powders that you could put across your doorstep and have a protective kind of barrier there. You can put crystals at each corner of the house, or crystals in each corner of the room. You can create a crystal grid, which is what I'm going to do. I have made my grid. I didn't print one out. I made my grid and I decided what crystals need to be in it. I just need to go get all the crystals. This beautiful one, I got this one specifically to be in the middle of my crystal grid, and I love it. I love it. Definitely research a little bit deeper into crystal grids. They are not just for protection. They could be for a number of things, but it is something you'll want to have in a designated spot of your house. The Realms Within, the place I go to get my crystals, they do have quite a nice size crystal grid, and it's usually always on the floor under their table. I have not asked what it's for, probably to bring in prosperity and wealth for their business. But crystal grid, if you have children as I do, you will want to put it kind of high. I have its location picked out and all. I just, like I said, I need to get all the crystals. Another one I heard was taking maybe a compact mirror and put it in the corner of your windows facing out, so that way negative energy bounces off. What I do for my house protections is I will, both the front and back door, I will put a large sigil, my house protection sigil actually, on the, under where the doormat would go. I'll put that with a black salt and moon water kind of mush paint mixture, and I'll put that on, cover it up with my doormat, and then I'll put black salt and eggshells across my door threshold. Then I will come inside and I will smoke cleanse my house, and I will leave a few incense running as well. So, what a house guardian is. This is my favorite thing. I actually came across it online. I cannot remember where. I wish I did, but a house guardian it can be anything you want, really. So what this article said is you really just take time, take a moment, sit down, meditate, clear your mind, and then think of a house guardian. What would you like it to look like? What would you like it to be? Its name, how tall, how big. It could be a dog, it could be a horse, it could be a man, it could be a giant, it could be a cyclops, it could be whatever you want. Whatever you want. Whatever your little heart desires, you can create it. Once, you know, you've envisioned this creature, once you've envisioned them, you will then want to take them around your house, inside and out, kind of showing them what they're protecting. And then it did say you will want to have a place for them. So you would want to have an altar set up, a spot for them to be them. That is your house guardians. I thought that was one of the coolest house protections ever. I don't know if anyone else thinks so. Think what you want, but so this next form of protection is kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's controversial, but there are many just weird things about it, but then at the same time it's not all that weird. So another form of protection, especially for witches, is what is called a witch's bottle. And what its purpose is to be buried out at the landline, your landline area, kind of in the front area, buried in the earth, so that way if anyone does send any negative energy, any sort of hex, spell, curse towards you, it will find your bottle first and attack the bottle. So when creating your bottle, you will want to pee in it, so that way it has you, a bit of you in there. Clip your fingernails, rip out some hair, just some of you in the bottle, somewhere. Urine apparently is like the main one. That must be more potent than nails or hair, don't know. But your urine is like #1 in there. So that's why a lot of people are a little iffy about it. Some people do it. I don't plan on doing that. Here, we don't own this house, we don't own the land, we are renting. There are a few more other ingredients. I do believe nails, not fingernails, but like hammer, nails, and blades. I don't know. I stopped when it said urine, to be honest. I was like, oh, I'll research this at a later date. I felt I had other stuff to research at that time. So that would be a witch's bottle. Again, always do further research, listen to other practitioners. There are a bunch on here that I follow that give a lot of information as well, so please definitely do all of the research you can, especially prior to doing any sort of spell, any sort of hex. Make sure you got your protections up and make sure you have everything in order, because bad things can go really, really wrong. There will be times where your protections don't work, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that they'll never work. Sometimes some things do get through, like how my friend made her protection jar and she was still experiencing a little bit of negative energy from a particular person. Extra steps were then needing to be made. So it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, your protection didn't work, it's never going to work. It just may mean you need to not only do a little extra steps, maybe cleansing as well, but you may need to kind of amplify that protection. So that is all I have for today's video on protection. Like I said, I will be doing a hexing video. I did hex someone, so I will kind of tell the story of why and how and what happened, but I will kind of go over, before I get into that, what protections I took and what kind of precautions I made and why I hex people and what kind of my limits are, because I don't hex people willy-nilly. There really needs to be a reason. So I will get into that in my next video, but other than that, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Eu vim lá da Zona Oeste, ela é menina da Zona Sul.